Chapter 11 tells us about England and her foreign policies. During the Tudor period from 1485 until 1603, English foreign policy changed several times. Henry VII had been careful to remain friendly with neighboring countries. His son, Henry VIII, had been more ambitious, hoping to play an important part in European politics, but he failed. Mary allied England to Spain by her marriage. This was not only unpopular but practically unwise. England had nothing to gain from being allied to a more powerful country. Elizabeth, as Henry VII, considered trade the most important foreign policy matter. For them, whichever country was England's greatest trade rival was its greatest enemy too. While Henry VII built a large fleet of merchant ships, Henry VIII spent money on warships and guns, making English guns the best in Europe. About trade policies, Elizabeth correctly recognized Spain as her main trade rival and enemy. Spain at the time ruled the Netherlands. Since Spain and France were rivals, Spanish soldiers could only reach that place from Spain by sea. This meant sailing up to the English Channel. Elizabeth helped the Dutch by allowing their ships to use the English harbors, from which they could attack Spanish ships. English ships had already been attacking Spanish ships as they returned from America loaded with silver and gold. In revenge, Spain refused to trade with England. Although these ships were privately owned, the treasure was shared with the Queen. Elizabeth apologized to Spain, but kept her share of that what had been taken from Spanish ships. Traders as well as pirates and adventurers were known as sea dogs. The most famous were John Hawkins, Francis Drake, and Martin Frobisher. About conquest policies, Philip decided to conquer England in 1587. He hoped that enough Catholics in England would be willing to help him. Philip's large army was ready in the Netherlands, but in 1587 Francis Drake attacked and destroyed part of Philip's fleet. Philip started again and built the largest fleet that had ever gone to sea. But English ships were longer and narrower, so that they were faster, and their guns could also shoot further than the Spanish ones. In 1588, Philip's fleet reached England in summertime. Elizabeth called her soldiers together, and she won their hearts with well-chosen words. The Spanish Armada was defeated more by the bad weather than by English guns. Ships were sunk or blown by the wind, wrecked on the rocky coasts. For England, it was a glorious moment, but it didn't lead to an end of the war with Spain. And English found themselves having to spend more than ever on England's defense. Peace was only made with Spain once Elizabeth was dead. The Tudors did their best to bring Wales, Ireland, and Scotland under England control. Henry VIII did not share his father's love of Wales. His interest was in power and authority. Through direct control, he wanted the Welsh to become English. One example of the changes Henry VIII made was in matter of names. At that time, the Wales did not have family names. They used their own first name with those of their father and grandfather, using ab, which meant son of. Names were too long. From 1535, the English put pressure on the Welsh to use the English system of names, by preventing Welsh names being used in law courts and in official papers. By 1750, the use of Welsh names had almost disappeared. About Ireland, during Elizabeth's reign, many Irish rebelled. Her soldiers saw the rebellious Irish population as violent primitive people and treated them with great cruelty. The Tudors fought wars during this period to make the Irish accept their authority and their religion. Ireland became England's first important colony. About Scotland, in 1543, Henry made an agreement to make Edward marry a little Mary of Scotland, but the Scottish sent the little girl to France, where she married the French king's son in 1558. Mary was troubled by bad luck and wrong decisions. She returned to Scotland as both queen and widow. She was Catholic when Scotland had become officially Protestant. She was to marry the king, the Scottish Catholic Lord Darnley, but when she tired of him, she allowed herself to agree to his murder and marry the murderer. Scottish society was shocked. By her behavior, Mary probably destroyed her chance to inheriting the English throne. In 1568, she escaped to England, where she was held by Elizabeth for 19 years before she was finally executed. Mary's son James VI started to rule at the age of 12. He brought the Catholic, Protestant, and also the Kirk more or less under royal control. These were the successes of an extremely clever diplomat. He gained the English throne when Elizabeth died in 1603.